Inshallah, today we will continue our new unit, Drive Slowly. Today we will cover the grammar lesson. Inshallah, lesson 3. In our previous lesson, we covered lesson 1 and 2, listen and discuss, and pair work. Okay? So, in our previous lesson, you saw different pictures related to cars. Yes? We talked about the signs. And we talked about we asked and answer questions related to these signs. What do these signs mean? صح? And also we gave advice about driving, how to be a good driver. Okay? Inshallah, today in our unit we will cover the grammar. In our grammar today, inshallah, we will cover, we will use modal auxiliaries, must, mustn't, and must not. Okay? Should, shouldn't in meaningful sentences, we will use it, inshallah. Also, we will cover we will use adverbs of manner, can, could, would, and would. Okay? And also, we will differentiate between adverbs and adjectives. Okay? Imagine that you and your friend in a class, okay, or at home, or your friend called you, okay, and he has a problem. He will tell you, for example, I have a toothache, my stomach hurt. What would you do if your friend telling you that he has a problem or there is something wrong? What would you say? How would you respond? Excellent. You will give him an advice. We covered giving an advice in our previous unit. Do you remember? In our previous unit, form, meaning, and function, we covered when we give advice, which language do we use? Do you remember what should we use? Yes, we use you should, you shouldn't. This we will cover it also today. When we give advice, which language we will use. And here in this picture, when you look at it, this girl, she is a new employee. She just attended her work, and this is her boss. Her boss is telling her the rules. When you go in a class, even in our classrooms, we have rules, صح? So when we give rules, we use certain language. I tell you, you must open your books. You must sit in a quiet place. These are rules. When we are talking about rules in every, like here, when you are working in a new place or you are in a classroom, also in our houses we have some rules, صح? Your mother would say you should not play football inside the house. Okay? So we have rules everywhere. When we are talking about rules, we use also certain language. We will cover it, inshallah, today also. Okay? So when we are talking about rules, when we are explaining rules, we use must and mustn't. Okay? Must and mustn't. And when we are giving advice, we use should and shouldn't. This is when we give advice. Okay? This is the difference between giving advice and telling someone about the rules. Okay, so when we use, as you can see on your books, page 14 and 15, we will start the grammar now. This part is, you can find it in your book. Modal auxiliaries like what? Must, mustn't, and must not. We use it, as we said, to talk about laws and rules. We use it to talk about laws and rules. For example, we have two examples here. You must stop at the traffic lights. We're talking about rules when we are driving, okay? You must not park on the sidewalk, okay? This is another rules. Pay attention to the verbs here. Pay attention to the verbs. The verbs here, we don't add S, ed, nothing. We just put the base form of the verb, okay? Must, stop, must not, park. We didn't say add s, ed, nothing. Just the base form of the verb. We use must and must not to talk about laws and rules. Okay? طيب, when we are giving advice, also we use modal auxiliaries like should and shouldn't. We covered that in our previous unit. Should and shouldn't. We also use it to give advice. You should drive under the speed limit. You should eat. You shouldn't eat when you are driving. You shouldn't eat when you are driving. This is when we give advice. Also here in modal auxiliaries, you can find this information in your book. Must, mustn't, must not, and should, shouldn't. These are the modal auxiliaries. Must is stronger than should. The difference between them, must and must not, has a strong voice than should. Okay? It has a more formal or official tone. When we are talking officially, we use must and mustn't instead of should and shouldn't. And it has a formal and official, and it is very strong. It's stronger than should. Okay, this is the difference between must and should. Let's see the exercise in our book, exercise C. Okay, you see it in page 15. We will start with exercise C. It's related to the first part of our grammar. Complete the conversation using your own words. Okay? طيب, if someone says, I'm afraid I'm running out of gas, can you give him advice? You should what? What should he do? Okay? Or what should she do? You should call a mechanic, for example. Just give him an advice. Complete the statement. Number 2, the sign says 80 kilometers per hour and I'm doing 90. Then you must follow the speed limit. صح? Give him an example. Give him an advice. You must tell him the rule. Here we're using must. You must slow down, for example. Complete the statements, read it, try to give advice completing the statements, and then let's see the answers together. For number 1, I'm afraid I'm running out of gas. What should we do? You should stop at a gas station. Okay? This is an advice. Number 2, the sign says 80 kilometers per hour and I'm doing 90, then you must slow down. Okay? This is how we complete it. Number 3, I'm lost. I don't know which way to go. I think we should stop and ask someone for directions. Or we can say, I think we should search the net or put the location on our phones, follow the directions there. Number 4, I need to make a phone call. Can you please hold the steering wheel? You must not make a call when you are driving. This is a rule, صح? You must not make a call when you are driving. Number 5, the car won't start. There is plenty of gas. I wonder what the problem is. You should call a mechanic. Okay? Here, this is for exercise C. For exercise D, as you can see on the same page 15, okay? You can see different signs. صح? Different signs. Every sign has a meaning, okay? Here, what does he want you to do? He wants you to work with a partner. Don't work alone, work with a partner because it's a speaking exercise. Discuss what you shouldn't, must not do. Here, things you shouldn't and mustn't do in the situations shown by these signs. So here, they are telling you things you shouldn't and must not do. Look at the pictures, discuss it with your friends. Okay, let's see it one by one. For the first picture here, they are telling us that what? You shouldn't ride your bike here. It's not allowed to ride your bike here. Excellent. What about the picture number 2? Here, please do not litter. And I think on your book you have a fine. There is a fine. Something, if you throw something and you have to pay a fine. Okay? If a policeman saw you and he would write a ticket and you have to pay it. It's a fine for throwing litter away. So here, what you should or you shouldn't or you mustn't what? You must not litter. Okay? You must not throw anything or litter. Okay? This is what does this picture mean? What about picture number 3? Here, the man is what? He is. The picture we can see someone swimming. Okay? Is it allowed to swim? No, it isn't. So what should we say? Shouldn't or must not? We can say you shouldn't or you mustn't. Both are correct. Swim here. You shouldn't swim here. Okay? Picture number 4. Here we have a cell phone. You shouldn't use your cell phone here. Okay? Here we have a squirrel and someone is giving him food. We see a hand and food. So here you should or you shouldn't or must not feed squirrels and pigeons. Okay? So animals in general. Okay? Picture 6, we have 2 signs on the tree. They hang it there. We have a picture of fire and picture of a tent. So here, what do we understand if we see a fire and a tent? You must not or you shouldn't camp or have campfire here. You should not camp or have campfire here. Picture 7, we have a bus lane. They're telling you this is a bus lane. A lane, it's a side. Also, we see it nowadays. It's on the right side of the street. We can see a bus lane there, and it's written a bus lane. It's in yellow. Okay. Are you allowed to drive there? No, it's only for buses. You can't stop or drive there. It's only for buses there. So you shouldn't or must not park here. Okay. This is a bus lane. So we have buses going through that place. For the second part of our grammar, we have adverbs of manner. Adverbs of manner. يعني إيش adverbs? What does adverbs of manner means? We have to differentiate between 2 things before we start. This, you can't see it in your book. This is something extra. Okay, this is related on page 14, related to the second part of our grammar. Adjectives, what does adjectives mean? When I say, she has a long hair. Long is an adjective. I described the hair. صح? When I say she has a long hair, here I'm describing people or things. We use the adjectives to describe people or things. He is a tall man. Okay, I'm describing the man. So I'm describing a noun. Usually adjectives, we can see it before nouns or pronouns. Okay? What about adverbs? Adverbs, we use it to describe verbs. We use it to describe verbs. Also, we can use it to describe adjectives, or we use it to describe another adverb. This is the situation when we are talking about adverbs in general. Like, for example, the man drives slowly. Okay, slowly, it's the adverb. And we are describing the way he drives. صح? The man drives slowly. So we are describing a verb. We use the adverbs. Under adverbs, we have many different types of adverbs. Today, we are only focusing on adverbs of manner. Okay? As you can see on your book, adverbs of manner are normally formed by adding ly. We add ly to what? To the adjectives. Do you remember the adjectives like slow, long? So these adjectives, we add ly to change it to adverbs, okay? They express how something is done. They are telling us how something is done, how the action is done, okay? So we are describing the verb, okay? How did he drive? He drove slowly. So the adjective is slow. We add ly to an adjective slow, okay? So I'm describing slowly, I'm describing the way he drives. How is he driving? Another example, how did she walk? I want to know the way she walks. She walked quickly. So we have quick, this is the adjective, and we added ly. We added ly to an adjective. So this is the adverb. Quickly, slowly, these are the adverbs. Okay, we use it to describe the verbs. In the first sentence, the verb is drove, and the second sentence, the verb is walked. Okay? Now here, as you can see, adjective that end in L, we double the L. Okay, sometimes the adjective, not like this one, quick, slow. Sometimes the adjective ends with an L, like careful. It ends with an L. What should we do? We double the L and add Y. We double the L and add Y. You can find this rule on your book also. Sometimes an adjective and an adverbs have the same form. Sometimes we don't add an ly. We don't change anything. Okay? This is an exception. Like what? He is a fast driver. He drives fast. Which one is the adjective? Which one is the adverb? When I say he is a fast driver, fast, we are describing what when we are saying fast? We are describing driver. Excellent. Fast, we are describing the driver. Driver, is it a noun or a verb? It's a noun. So here, it's an adjective. Here, it's an adjective. What about here? He drives fast. Fast here is describing drives, which is an action. So here, it's an adverb. But we didn't add anything when it's an adjective and when it is an adverb. We don't change the form. He is a hard worker. Here it's an adjective. Hard is describing worker. It's the same here when it's an adverb. He works hard. We don't change the form of the adverb. The adverb and the adjective have the same form. Also here, the adverb form of good is well. This is another exception. Okay? When we are talking about good, good, it's an adjective. The adverb is well. The adverb is well. Okay? He is a good player. This is when it's an adjective. We are describing player, a noun, so the adjective is good. When we are describing the action, he plays, can I say he plays good? No, he plays well. He plays well. The adjective form of the adjective is good. When the adjective is good, the adverb form is well. Okay? Now for exercise A, to practice the adverbs of manner, rewrite the sentences, use adverbs of manner. So we have to change the statement. Like for example, Adil is a careful driver. Okay? Here it's an adjective. عادل is a careful driver. So when we are changing it, عادل drives, we change driver, a noun, to verb. Drives what? Carefully. Here we double the L and add Y. Carefully. He drives carefully. طيب, what about here? Number 1, Badr is an aggressive driver. So Badr drives what? Drives what? And stunt pilots fly in a dangerous way. Okay? Fadwa and Amal are enthusiastic readers. How can we change it using the adverbs of manner? Pause the video, think about it, talk to your friends and try to answer it and compare your answers, and let's see the answers together. So, and also here we have Saeed is a really good player. Sabah is a quiet talker. So Sabah talks what? Khalid is a hard worker. Khalid works what? Majid and Ali are fast runners. So Majid and Ali run what? Try to complete it using the adverbs of manner. Let's see the answers together. So the first one, Badr drives aggressively. We added ly. Stunt pilots fly dangerously. We added ly to dangerous. Okay. Here, enthusiastic, it's also an exception. We added ally. Fadwa and Amal read enthusiastically. Okay. Number 4, Saeed plays really well. I changed good to well. Okay. Sabah talks quietly. Khalid works hard. Here it didn't change, like fast. Majid and Ali run fast. Fast and hard, we don't change the form, okay, of the adjective and the adverb. It's the same. For exercise B, complete the conversation. Use adverbs form of the adjective in parentheses. So we have to use the adjectives, then practice the conversation with the partner, okay? We have a conversation A and B, okay? We have to change it. We have to use the adjective between brackets and change it into adverbs of manner. We have A and B and C. We will take it one by one. Well, my son Brian drives what? Reckless. How can we change it? Recklessly. He doesn't stop at stop signs, and he is usually over the speed limit. He is always in a hurry. So here we change it. Think about B and the other part, and let's see it one by one. As we said, for number the first one, we change reckless to recklessly. We change the adjective into an adverb. For B, my son Alexander drives well. Good, changed to well. But he is sometimes drives too fast. Fast, it doesn't change at all. I'm afraid he is going to have an accident on one of these days, okay? So the third part of the conversation, well, Brian got a ticket because he was driving too fast. Fast, it didn't change from an adjective to an adverb, okay? He had to go to a special class for people who drive dangerously. So dangerous, we added ly to it. We changed the adjective into an adverb, but he still doesn't drive carefully. Next time, he is going to lose his license. Okay, this is the conversation. Try to read the conversation between each other to practice reading the conversation. And for your homework, I want you to do page 96 and 97 for your homework. Inshallah, we will do it together next class to practice how you use the adverbs of manner and the auxiliary verbs. Okay, what did we cover in our lesson today? We learned how to use modal auxiliary must, mustn't, and should, shouldn't to talk about rules and give advice. And also we talked about adverbs of manner. How do we use the adverbs of manner? We differentiated between adjectives and adverbs. How do we change the adjective into an adverb? And we talked about the exceptions and how do we use it in sentences. That's it for today. Thank you for listening, and inshallah I will see you next class.